Hola, Ma. Buenos días. Buenas tardes para todos. Good afternoon. I'm going to be giving an update on the house, Lubbock, Texas. I just woke up, and sometimes you get news from the United States. The thing is, what business does the United States have in the conflict between Ukraine? What purpose does or like what is the point of him giving input? NATO especially and the European countries are not ready for a world war, and it's crazy. It's mad to talk about this conflict from the United States, especially when talking about Ukraine regaining all of its territory back, territory that's been annexed by Russia in its constitution. So I'm just here to talk about that kind of stuff because as an American living in Russia, you get the news very late. But when stuff like this happens, obviously it's gonna pop up. People are gonna mention it. People are gonna want my opinion on this. And I'm just here to give my opinion on this as a veteran who lives in Russia and as someone who uh, sees Russia inside. I mean, the society is a warrior society, right? I've lived in Russia for so long that I've seen the men who fight. And I lived in the United States. I served in the Marine Corps, and I know the quality of men that exist in the United States. And I was also around the Europeans and the European militaries, and I can tell you that the European militaries are absolutely behind when it comes to fighting a war at the scale at which it's being fought at the scale at which it's being fought in right now in the Ukrainian theater. Um, it's I don't think it's even about resources. Why does the United States want to get involved? I just think it needs a weak Russia. Russia, in the timeline of the United States, it wants Russia to be weak, obviously. But of course, there's resources, and they made agreements for resources. But resources don't win wars, and resources don't keep you on top. A strong military and a weak enemy keeps you on top. And to the United States, somehow it wants Russia to be its enemy for the rest of time, which is probably the dumbest move you can do because Russia has more in common with the United States than any other European country. Russia is more alike with the United States than any other European country, and this might blow some people's minds, but in every single way, Russia is more like the United States than any other country. You can name any other country, and Russia is more alike to the United States. So they're natural allies. But today I'm going to be looking at what Trump wrote, and I'm going to be dissecting what the reality of that tweet is. And then I'm going to give you guys a quick tour of the house the apartment that we have. I'm going to give you guys a detailed tour. You guys know we haven't even moved in. This is the first live stream. You guys are watching the first live stream from the new apartment that we're in, that we haven't moved into officially. So let me load up this comment that President Trump made, which is lunacy. It's lunacy, of course. Hello, Aaron. Europe has always looked at Russia with contempt. We'll never learn. Yeah, well, there's not much Europe can do about Russia. There's nothing, actually, there's nothing that Russia can do about Europe's hate for Russia, and the rest of Europe can't do anything. Both of them are just locked into this spiral. So I'm going to read what he wrote. After getting to know and fully understand the here we go again. After getting to know and fully understand the Ukraine-Russia military and economic situation, and after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine, with the support of the European Union, is in the position to fight and win all of Ukraine back in its original form. So that's the first sentence. There's a couple commas there and there's a couple ands, but this first sentence is lunacy. Lunacy. This is probably the craziest thing I've read in a long time, because Donald J. Trump thinks that Russia is in an economic state in which it's ready to collapse. I've never lied to you guys. I've lived here for almost 4 years. I've been living through the entirety of the sanctions from the United States and Europe and the entire world. I'm not proud to say what I'm going to say, and I'm not saying this because I'm not Russian, right? I can leave the boat whenever I want. But I would never leave my wife here. But what I'm trying to say is I've lived here so long through all of the sanctions, and I've seen the people become stronger and flourish. And I'm not saying this from a point of view of a Russian, because I'm not Russian. But what I'm reading here is the President of the United States thinks that the Russian economy is in a bad state. You can see it says, after seeing the economic troubles it's causing Russia. So the economic troubles that it's causing Russia, he's probably saying that Russia has to trade with India, with China, find new trading partners. If you don't know, the majority of Russia is in Asia. The majority of Russia and the majority of the Russian resources are in Asia, where I live. I live in the Asian part of Russia. We have resources from Mongolia. We export resources to India, China, and all of the Southeast Asia region can get its piece as well with tourism and interchanging tourism. So all that he's saying is he thinks that because Russia has gotten new partners in the economic world, that it is in some sort of trouble. Because he says, after seeing the economic trouble it is causing Russia, I think Ukraine. So now he moves on to say, because of the trouble that Russia's in right now, Ukraine can win back all of its territory with the help of the European Union. Now that's another lie right there, because the European Union can barely control its borders. A lot of the European countries have lost a lot of its colonies in Africa, a lot of its colonies in the Middle East. Even the United States lost Iraq, lost Afghanistan. So the European Union cannot sustain a war in continental Europe. Now, this is not... I think the big problem with people who say you should keep out of politics, they think that the real life doesn't affect them. Well, I'm an American living in Russia, and my wife and my future son, who's going to be born in a couple weeks, is Russian. This is not politics to us. This is just real life. So again, continental Europe cannot sustain a war in Ukraine because it can barely sustain itself abroad. Now, one thing that I've learned after fighting in the United States military, in the Marine Corps, I fought in the Afghanistan war. That war was a war that I think we never wanted to win. Of course, the Soviet Union fought in Afghanistan. Many countries fought and lost in Afghanistan, but the way that we pulled out showed just the readiness to go to total war. The United States is not saying it's going to fight itself, but it is later on in this tweet saying that it's going to support. So far, Donald Trump has mentioned the European Union, and it's mentioned that Russia has a weak economy. So let's continue with the next sentence. With time, patience, and financial support of Europe, and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? So it doubles down and it says not only the European Union, because at first he was stating the European Union was going to help Ukraine, but now he's mentioning NATO. Now, NATO has been a bully in the Europe continent. I believe they bullied Serbia, Yugoslavia. What? Let me see. This Kosovo incident. The Bosnian War in 1994. The Serbs had to deal with a lot of bombardments from NATO. So all of this craziness, while NATO's actions in Bosnia and later in Kosovo involved combat, it was an intervention by NATO on the continent, right? So we know that NATO does have a history of offensive instigation on the European continent, but in this case, it's going to be a huge step up, and we're going to talk about that later because Ukraine versus Russia is not a Kosovo incident. Do you think Trump will be able to put an end to this war? No, I don't think. At first, I thought President Trump had a good enough relationship with President Putin to have a good conversation and say, okay, I see that you're going to win this conflict. Let's save some lives. But no, now it's crazy. It's crazy. Let's see here. Let's continue reading. Russia has been fighting. This is the part that really ruins Trump's point of view. Listen to this sentence. So he mentioned already what with time, patience, and finance support of Europe and in particular NATO, the original borders from where this war started is very much an option. Why not? Russia has been fighting aimlessly for 3.5 years, a war that should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. So this is what blows my mind. We were in Afghanistan fighting the poorest country in the world, the number one. I fought in 3 campaigns in the Afghanistan war. Let me just show. Let me know if this connection is still here, if I'm still alive, because this is the part that really blows my mind, and it ruins the point of view from American military people. He has no. Let's see here. All right, let me know when I'm back. The truth is nobody in the no one who with a military background can say that this conflict would be ended in days to weeks to even months. Because let me put it this way. If Russia wanted to use its true potential and its biggest bombs from its arsenal, like the United States did in World War II, it could have ended a long time ago. If it wanted to flat out cities, do you think that Israel is flattening out Gaza right? Same capabilities? It makes no sense. You have to think about it this way: if the Israel military has been able to flatten out an entire city, basically a huge mega city that is still flattening out, you don't think that Russia has capabilities to flatten out Kiev? This is ridiculous, right? But this is not the type of war that Russia's been fighting. A lot of the people on the borderlands are Russian people who are not opposing the Russian government. So this is the reality of this war. Now, we spent 20 years in Afghanistan fighting the weakest military and the weakest economy in the world for 20 years. What the hell is this sentence saying? Uh, he says, though this war should have taken a real military power less than a week to win. So are we a military power in the United States because we lost in Afghanistan and I fought in this war? This is how it works, guys. This is how it works. We lost in Iraq, we lost in Afghanistan, we lost in Vietnam, we lost in Korea. Like, this is the truth. I fought in one of these wars. I'm a decorated Marine. I wouldn't lie to you. I fought in these wars. But Russia not flattening out Ukraine does not make it not a real power. Now, I'm going to say this. Two things can exist at once. Russia can be a superpower, and also Russia cannot finish this war. Okay? The truth is, Ukraine was the largest country in all of Europe. All inside of Europe. Ukraine was the largest country in continental Europe. And now it's the second largest country after France. So how did it go from being the largest country in Europe to the second country in square meters, right? Whatever, square kilometers. How is it possible that the largest country in the Europe continent became the second largest and might even become the third largest after Germany? Right? Because it's lost so much territory that it's become the second largest country in Europe. Now, with this being said, the front line, hello to Montana, hello Miguel, the front line is so massive that no other country in Europe, could hold that front line besides Ukraine and Russia. And this says something. This says something that the United States doesn't understand. How is it possible that Russia and Ukraine have held that front line for almost 4 years? Okay, this is hundreds of thousands of soldiers, hundreds of thousands of military personnel. Now, I'm going to tell you something that's very interesting that no Scott Ritter, no Colonel, whatever the fuck his name is, has ever mentioned. Okay, and this is something very important to war. The amount of infantrymen on both sides is insane. When I remember fighting in the Afghanistan war, there were only a couple thousand men, true infantrymen, fighting in the front lines. Everything else was logistics and support. Everybody else was supporting us men who were actually fighting. And we never had more than, I don't know, maybe 10,000 in my area of operations. 10,000 was a lot for us. 10,000 Marines was a lot. Okay? But think about this. The majority of the infantry, the majority of the Russian and Ukrainian servicemen are infantrymen, and they are in the tens of thousands. You can't even fathom the amount of infantrymen both of them have. I don't, unless you've been in the military and you fought in a actual, like in war, and you've seen combat, the amount of infantrymen that Russia and Ukraine have right now in the front line is unbeknownst. You haven't seen these numbers since World War II. I can guarantee you that Scott Ritter can't wrap his brain around this either. Because I've seen with my own eyes the men that go and fight. I've seen these men. Thousands and thousands and thousands. No other country in Europe can sustain the front line besides Ukraine and Russia. It's impossible. No other country in Europe has the amount of infantrymen that would require you to hold the hundreds. Okay? So this is the truth. And when the president of the United States says that a real military power would have taken Ukraine in a week, he has no understanding of what a war is. Even if Ukraine had no weapons, it would take more than a month, more than a year even, to take the entirety. Because taking a country by force and then occupying it is a different story. You have to occupy conquered land. So in the Marine Corps we say The Marine Corps is a conquering force and the Army is a occupying force. So you need people to conquer area and you need more military people to occupy it. So let me put it in perspective for you guys. I fought in the Helmand province. Tens of thousands of men were required to hold these positions. While I was fighting in the front lines with my buddies, we needed a lot of army guys. And I'm not talking down on the army guys because some army infantry units are top tier and they're actually also conquering forces. But the majority of the army was an occupying force, and the army knows this. There's a lot of logistics involved, a lot of truck drivers, a lot of heavy equipment operators, a lot of supplies. This is how war works. So when President Trump says that a real military power would have taken Ukraine in a week, he's lying. Ukraine was the strongest military solely in Europe at the time of the conflict starting. Ukraine was the strongest country in all of Europe. We're not talking about Russia because Russia is a Eurasian country, okay? But in continental Europe alone, Ukraine was the best armed, the best trained, and the biggest military in all of Europe. Okay, now, and what I'm telling you is something that you're not going to hear with Scott Ritter, with anybody else, because these people are delusional. These people have been saying that the conflict was going to end 1 year into the war, and they have no idea what they're talking about. So let me continue. And this text is going on longer. I'm going to continue reading it, and you're going to see, we're going to get into President Trump's mind right now. By the way, please put like on this live. I haven't done a live in quite a while. I would appreciate if you guys support the channel by putting like. Why? Because I think that I'm giving you guys a point of view that you're not going to hear anywhere else. I think that my point of view, me being inside of Russia, and I can tell you the quality of soldiers that exist here are absolutely top tier. The people that are fighting in this conflict on the Russian side, and even on the Ukrainian side, guys, these people, the Ukrainians and the Russians, are probably, you wouldn't be able to tell them apart. If you stood them side by side, and even if they spoke, someone who's not living in Russia or in Ukraine, you as a foreigner would not be able to tell these people apart. The quality of men fighting in this conflict is top tier. These men are rugged, these men are elite, these men are combat hardened to a point that nobody from the Western world could understand. So, let me continue to explain to you how and why President Trump really is in a state of lunacy when he says a real military power would take in Ukraine in less than a week. Ukraine, again, was the largest country in all of Europe. Ukraine also had the largest military. If you took away every weapon from them and they played hide and seek and you had to destroy them this way, it would take you months to destroy the Ukrainian military. Another thing, it took the United States 20 years to take under control Helmand, Kandahar, and we didn't really have it under control fully, and Kabul. These are the three regions that I could remember that I was in a campaign in Afghanistan in Helmand province. We never controlled it fully, and we also had Marines next to us who were in Kandahar who also never controlled Kandahar fully. Let's look at how big Ukraine is. Now, what the Google is going to tell me is probably going to be a little bit inaccurate because it's going to give me, okay, Ukraine in 2013 was 233 square miles. And here we go. Now, Afghanistan is larger. It's a little bit larger than Ukraine. But we were fighting in Helmand province. Let's look at how large Helmand province is. By the way, Afghanistan is 250 square miles. It's 20,000 square miles, 20 square miles larger than Ukraine. But at the time of the Afghanistan conflict, We were the strongest economy, and Afghanistan was the weakest economy in the entire world. Now let's look at the size of Helmand province. To give you an understanding, so Helmand province is 23 square miles. We never controlled the entirety of the Helmand province. It took 20 years. And I'm saying this as a proud American. I don't think that President Trump understands war. I don't think he understands politics. I don't think he understands the economy, because he already spoke about these three things. He spoke about the Russian economy, he spoke about the politics involving Russia, and he spoke about war and military. So these are three very important things that you should think about before typing anything, before saying anything. I can tell you very, very clearly that, yeah. And I'm a proud American because my mom lives in the United States. America is not the government, and you would be a stupid idiot to think that I, as an American, when I say I'm a proud American, I support the government. No, I support the people. The people in the United States don't control the warmongering politics, Micah. So don't be fucking stupid, okay? That's how it works. I'm a proud American because my mom is currently living in the United States. She still has food to eat. I'm a proud father of a Russian son, and I'm a proud husband of a Russian woman. Two things can exist at once, okay? Don't get it twisted. You're just a citizen of a country. I love Russia. I love my son and I love my wife, but I'm a proud American because my family lives in the United States. My government is committing stupid warmongering around the world. So that's how it works. And now let's continue with this tweet by President Trump. So he says, we already know that he said it would take a real military power to take Ukraine in a week. We already showed that not to be true. This is not distinguishing Russia. In fact, it is very much making them look like a paper tiger. When people living in Moscow and all of its great cities, towns, and districts all throughout Russia find out what's really going on with this war, the fact that it's almost impossible for them to get gasoline through, the long lines are being formed, and all other things that are taking place in their war economy, where most of their money is being spent fighting in Ukraine, which has great spirit and only getting better. Ukraine would be able to take back their country in its original form, and who knows, maybe even go further than that. So now he said, in this long sentence that he went on, he's saying that Russian people are going to find out that that maybe they're losing. Maybe, I don't know what he thinks Russian people are not finding out. One thing that I don't understand is he's talking about gasoline. Do you guys, let me ask you guys a question. First of all, thank you so much for the support and the donations. I appreciate your support. Let me ask you guys a question. Did you guys ever hear that we're running out of gasoline in Russia? Anybody hear that? Because this is the first time I'm ever hearing that we're running out of gasoline, that there's long lines being formed. This is ridiculous. Now, if you heard about it, I'm going to take you right now to a gas station. So far, I've proven President Trump wrong in everything. I think that the people who are watching would agree that everything that he said, I've proven to be lies or misinformation. I've proven to you that no other country would be able to take Ukraine, or a superpower. I don't know what he means by a real power. What other countries would be able to do what Russia's doing? We proved him wrong. We've also proved him wrong in its economic situation. Now it's time to go look at a gas station inside of Russia, so I can continue to prove everything that he says in this one tweet 7 hours ago wrong. And I'm not doing this because of I don't know Donald Trump, but I don't like when people get lied to. Okay, an American citizen should not accept blasphemy like this. So let's go. And Douglas McGregor. I don't think I've seen some clips of him, but he doesn't really say anything about military in a way that someone who's actually fought. I haven't seen his decorations and I don't know his military career, but they never talk about the things that you should talk about in war. They never mention the amount of infantrymen that's happening. They never mention the amount, the lines that are actually on the maps. And this is what's important. So these people don't know anything. I'm a Marine who's probably had combat action more recent than Scott Ritter and any of these other people that you guys mentioned. And I've spoken to veterans of the war in Ukraine. I've been close to these people, men who've actually fought in this conflict, and I've brainstormed things. And to be honest, the most no, let's go look at the gas station and we can come back to this. And then we're gonna have a tour around the new apartment. So we'll be back. Thanks again for the donations. But please, if you donate, go ahead and ask a question if you'd like. I would love to answer your guys' questions. Okay, and I have to say one thing. Yes, Southeast Asia does not like Russian tourists. It's the same as South American countries hating American tourists. The countries that are receiving tourism, even Mexico hates American tourists because we're loud, because we feel entitled. So Southeast Asia is really close to Russia. It's the same shit, okay? That's how it works. Thank you. Привет. Yeah, if you have an American passport, you can come to Belarus. If you have a visa for Russia, you can visit Belarus. Hello, brother. Thank you for joining us. We're just on a live proving everything that Trump put on his last tweet. Ridiculous. He's gone mad. Are you considering making like tour packages? Yes. Next year, I'm already going to be receiving tourists. This year, I received 2 subscribers to my area, and I give tourism. I mean, I did it for free, and people can donate whatever they want. You're going to see a lot of the surrounding area here is beautiful. So if you guys ever want to come and experience Lake Baikal, then you feel free to message me ahead of time. And shout out to my Serbian subscribers. I love Serbia. I know you guys are great friends of Russia. I know you guys are great people. You guys have been through a lot. Today we mentioned NATO's involvement in the Serbian Kosovo problem that they had and how disgusting NATO acted. And it wants to do the same in Ukraine. So right now we're driving to the gas station. Part of Donald Trump's tweet was that there's huge lines and that people can barely get gasoline. Well, I've proven everything wrong. Everything he wrote on this tweet, I've proven wrong. And today we're gonna see. And how much do I weigh? I weigh 188 pounds. I've actually lost some weight. I have to lose weight. And I've lost about 10 pounds in the last month and a half. I've got to lose more weight. But yeah, I was like 190 something. I was over I was even in the 200s actually. Believe, I mean, you know, guys, I was overweight more than I am now. I was about 205 pounds and I dropped to 180 something. So we've driven from the house to what you're gonna see is a gas station in Russia. And we're just gonna sit there and see if people are gonna be in huge lines. We're gonna study this, and we're gonna see the truth, because people need to know. And we're coming into the gas station right now. So I'm gonna turn the camera around, and what you guys see, the gas stations, you have to pump on the right side of your you have to be able to pump on your side, okay? They're all lined up. So if you have your pump on one side, you have to use that side. So here is the gas station. Looks like people are coming in, more cars are driving in. This is the town with 15,000 people, okay? 15,000 people, and we have about 2 gas stations. It doesn't look like there's lines coming out anywhere. It looks like a very normal gas station. Here, one's leaving, and here comes another one. It is 11 in the morning. We are in a Siberian town, and depending on where your pump is coming in from, you have to park on that particular side. I'm not filling up. I have enough gasoline. But let's go to another part of town to see where there's the huge lines, because they don't exist. Okay? And we're gonna go back after that to go back to my house, to back home, and talk more about this tweet that's ridiculous. And thanks again for the donation, okay? Thank you. So I weigh 189 or 188 pounds. I'll weigh myself when I get home. We're going to another gas station. This one looked busy. It had quite a few people. But we're going to go to another one. Remember, 15,000 people, and I think we have 3 gas stations. So naturally, we would have a few people waiting, but the lines are way bigger in Costco in the United States for gasoline. I've been great. Thank you for asking. I'm about 2,000 or 3,000 kilometers from Novosibirsk. Look at the beautiful, beautiful sunny day here in Siberia. Also, they say that our roads are bad. There's so many things that they say about Russia. Now, small towns usually have nasty, broken roads, but lucky for us, they're just rebuilding ours this month. Okay, we're almost there. Now remember, I live in a out in the middle of nowhere town, okay? If we have any gas here, then any other region in Russia is gonna have gas. That's just how it works. So if we have anything here, probably the least likely to have gasoline. Here's another one I'm going to show you. If we have gas in this town, and here's another gas station, there's even the serviceman coming out to work. He's pumping gas. So you can see this gas station has gas. This gas station has people, there's no huge lines, and the gas per liter is 63 ruble, 63.98. So 64 rubles for liter. I'm not sure how that is in your guys's place, but okay, that's how it works. 64. It. Hey brother, good morning. It's a beautiful day in Irkutsk, man. It's a beautiful day in the Siberian paradise. So yeah, here we go. We're going back to the apartment. Hell no, you know what? I might take you guys to go see the lake. My dream is to bring my Mustang here, okay? It's less than $1 per liter. I'm not sure how much it is in Europe. 3.10 per gallon. Now, in our region, it might be a little bit more expensive than other regions, because they tell me that in Irkutsk, even though we produce the damn we produce the gas, but Krasnoyarsk has less price, okay? So Irkutsk is actually a cheap place to live, but we produce a lot of the resources and other regions get it for less than we get it. It's just how it works. We don't know how it works. Irkutsk is the best freaking place in the world. I'm gonna show you now Lake Baikal, and then we're gonna go back to our apartment, okay? So we saw there's no lines. So far, we've proven President Trump wrong in everything that he said. Gosh darn it, here's another gas station. But this one's a little bit more expensive. This one's 66, but there's nobody here. We have now gone to every gas station in town, and if I want, I could just get gas, but nobody here. So, I'm gonna take you guys to the lake. And I know this live started specifically to prove the last tweet wrong, but I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna prove him wrong in another way, because you guys know that President Trump was talking about resources and economy, and I'm gonna show you why Russia's the richest country in the world. By far, there's no comparison. There's not even, no other country comes close to the vastness of Russian resources, because we all know that water is the most important resource in the entire world. Our body's made up of water. The animals that you feed to eat need water. The plants that you need to feed those animals need water. Everything in this planet needs water. And I'm going to show you the biggest body of water in the entire world from fresh water. And I'm gonna show you this, and it's only about 5 minutes away from my house. Nobody can argue that Russia doesn't have the most resources in the world, because the most important resource is water. And water, if we decided to time travel 1,000,000 years into the future, I'm pretty sure water's worth would be more than gold. So I'm gonna prove why Donald Trump is wrong. And I might even go swimming today, because golly, today and tomorrow should be good weather. I might go swimming in Lake Baikal. My son is almost born, so I might have to head over to Irkutsk soon. Irkutsk. You know something funny, while my brother's watching right now? We were at the hospital here. My wife went to go check for our son, and they told us, hey, if your wife is feeling like she's gonna have her baby, call us and we'll drive you to Irkutsk. And I'm like, what the hell are you talking about? Drive me to Irkutsk. If my wife is feeling like she's gonna have the baby. There's no way we're making it to the city in time. So I'll be over there in Irkutsk in about a week and a half, because my son should be born in about 3 to 4 weeks. Yes, so here we are in Siberia. I'm gonna show you, turn the camera around, in about 2 minutes. I would probably go swimming today, but I'm commando right now. Okay, here we go. Here is the magnificent and the unrivaled lake. No, that wasn't reckless. The colors of autumn are here. You see the leaves have started to change colors. This lake is massive. Massive. So, in only one lake, we can hold about 23% of the world's fresh water in one lake. And Russia has thousands of lakes. Tens of thousands. Over there is the town of Kultuk. Look at the beautiful, beautiful forests. Canada and Siberia are obviously very, very similar. They're in a lot of the Russia is in the same latitude as Canada. Oh, it's not even similar to Lake Superior at all. It's Lake Superior is huge. The area of those Great Lakes are massive. Here you can see both sides of the lake, but what gives the vastness of Baikal is down. It's a vertical lake, okay, not a horizontal lake. But the Great Lakes are beautiful. But the thing is, Baikal, it has such a strange shape. Привет из Иркутска. Привет, брат. We're just waiting to see if it comes back. Again, the things that I'm going to tell you next is the reality of a future conflict, if it ever did happen. And it ties directly with what we were talking in the beginning. The size of the Ukrainian state, the size of Russia, these are things that Americans cannot fathom. Militarily, of course. Of course, we already know the size of Russia is massive. And we understand that Ukraine used to be the largest country in Europe. And we know this. But the truth is that if you have no combat experience, if you've never traveled in a vehicle for 30 miles, 50 miles inside of a country that you're in war, then you would never truly grasp the size of a country if you were going to go to war there. And this is something that Colonel McGregor, whatever the hell his name is, that Scott Ritter, they can't understand this because they were never in war in a vehicle or on foot patrolling to try to take over territory. What I'm going to tell you next is something that Russians will not accept. Russians will hate this fact, and Americans would hate this fact. Both countries will hate what I'm going to say, but it's the truth. And I would never lie to you guys. But you have to listen exactly how I say it before you react. So this is why I want to get to the house, and I want to tell you guys the most honest truth. So let me know where you guys are watching from. Please, let's take a pause and tell me where you guys are watching from. I love when we have every continent on the live. It's fascinating. You know, we have Asians, we have South Americans sometimes, we have people from Africa. So please tell me where you're watching from. If you're watching from inside of the United States, tell me what state you're watching from. It's fascinating. Miami, Florida. Nice. San Diego, baby, my old home. Well, like almost my old home. I lived in Oceanside. I lived in Camp Pendleton for a long time, and MCRD, of course, Marine Corps Recruit Depot out there. California, New Mexico, South Carolina, Japan. I'm going to Japan maybe in 2 years to visit my best friend. My best friend out there in Japan. The Bay Area, Northern California, nice. We're about to get to my apartment in about 3 minutes, and we're gonna talk about something that it just doesn't make sense to me, even to have Russia and the United States should never be enemies. Never. Wisconsin. When I was younger, I used to say Wisconsin. Wisconsin, beautiful state. Beautiful state. Toronto, Reno, Tahoe, Scotland, hell yeah. I told you guys the story. Maybe if you're new to this channel, you've never heard of this story. In the Afghanistan war, I was out patrolling and I was looking through my sights, and I saw white men with beards and beautiful weapons, and I pointed my gun at them and I said, "Hey, are you the British?" And the guys turned around and said, "Fuck no, we're the Scottish." I'm like, what the hell is this? I had never met anybody from Scotland in real life, and this freaking guy screams at me, says, "Fuck no, we're the Scottish." It was awesome. Fascinating. But that's a true story, by the way. A true story in the Afghanistan war. I was out patrolling and I thought I ran into the British, and oh, we're the Scottish. All right, let's go inside and talk about this. Yeah, I can tell I didn't do it on purpose, though. Oh, look at this doggy. Oh, cute Milo. Milo, if you guys seen The Mask, that looks like Milo. That looks like Milo from The Mask, 1990s movie. Purple burglar alarm. Purple burglar alarm. I know Scottish people can't say burglar. Purple burglar alarm. Estoy en Rusia. All right, we're back. Now it's time to get serious. I think a dog is Sabaka. Sabaka. So, this is the reality which I was going to break to you guys. Thanks for the people who are still watching. Let me turn my computer on. This is the truth. When the United States president is talking about war with Russia, with helping these different NATO countries to fight the Russians, if this is what is going to piss a lot of Russian people off and Americans, if Russia went to war with the United States, if Russia declared war on the United States, if Russia wanted to invade and go to war with the United States, Russia would lose that war. If the United States wanted to go to war with Russia, if the United States instigated a war with Russia, the United States would lose that war. Now, this sounds like stupid what I'm saying, but it's the truth. Whichever country were to instigate a war with the other, that country would lose. So Russia would never lose a war against the United States if Russia didn't start the war and instigate it. Neither the United States, neither the Russian Federation could absolutely occupy the other. Okay? Neither of those countries has the military power to occupy the other. It can't conquer the other country. And it's not even about the oceans, my friends. It's the sheer area, the size of the country, and the vastness of its geography. So even if they were close to each other, even if they were side by side, with its geography, of course, neither military is built up to fight. The United States is not built to fight in Siberian plateau. The United States military would lose in Siberia, and the Russians would lose in Los Angeles, New York, in urban warfare with thousands of people in Texas. So Russia would lose in these urbanized areas, and the United States would lose in the Siberian plateau. The Russian military is built in a different way. The Russian military, as it works right now, is geared for a different type of war, which you can see in Ukraine. It's used to double enveloping larger cities and sieging them until they give up. In the United States, you have way too many cities, and this is how it would work. And I'm telling you the truth. I'm not a military genius, but I'm not a liar. A lot of the people who you watch on YouTube, they don't know what the hell they're saying, and they've gone to a point of insanity that they can't come back from. So this is the absolute truth. The United States could never win a war against Russia because of the Siberian plateau, its vastness. It's 3/4 of the entirety of Russia, would never be able to occupy it. Its military is not ready to fight in a war like that. The Russian military would never be able to take over the United States because it has too many urbanized cities. It's urban, too urban. And the Russian military is not made for urban, these long, what you're seeing in Ukraine. There's a lot of open fields, a lot of sporadic cities that they double envelop, siege, and then take over. My prediction for Israel and Palestine was on the Real Reporter channel. It got taken down. I have to ask him if he'll re-upload it. So let's continue with the text from the Russian president. Here you have, we've been reading this and we've been breaking it down. We've proven everything wrong up to here. So this is the last sentence. In any event, I wish both countries well. That's a lie. That's not, that's his next sentence. And he says, I wish both countries well. That's a lie because he proves himself wrong in the next sentence. We will continue to supply weapons to NATO for NATO to do what they want with them. Good luck to all. So he proves himself wrong in this sentence. I wish both countries well. In this next follow-up sentence by saying he's going to continue to supply weapons to NATO. So this tweet was posted by President Donald Trump, and we broke it down in about 63 minutes. It took me about 1 hour to prove wrong everything that he said, all the way from Siberian Russia. I hope that this has been entertaining. I appreciate all of the people's support. Thank you for the donations. Thank you for watching. The lack of content is because my wife is pregnant. My wife is going to be giving birth in the next 3 to 4 weeks. Hello, thank you for joining. Es muy caro todo. Un par de zapatos Nike Jordans usados cuestan $170 y usados. Bueno. Oh, actually, I forgot to give you guys the update on the apartment. I'm going to give you guys a tour. This is my dirty clothes, excuse me. So I built this piece here on my desk. This is something that didn't exist. I built this because my computer wasn't fitting in there. So yeah. Now it closes. Let me give you guys an update on this. We finally have a bed for ourselves, and we have a bed for the baby. So this is our room. It has lights, of course. This apartment, I've been also working in the bathroom, in the toilet area. I poured cement on the floor. I redid the floor in the bathroom where the toilet is. I'm not done putting the toilet back together. It's gonna be quite a while because this thing is broken, I think. It leaks too much. This toilet was already here. I put a new plug up there. Thank you. Shout out to my brother Sasha out there in Krasnodar, Alexander. I have to fix this wall. I ran the wire down and the washing machine is in. I told you guys we were gonna get a washing machine, an awesome little candy. We still have no kitchen. The kitchen is gonna take us about a month. I'm saving up some money to buy a refrigerator and a stove, but we have to move in about 3 days because we will no longer have somewhere to live. Our lease or our rent ends on the 27th. Today's the 24th. So yeah, I'm missing a seat. I'm not done putting it in. I have about 2 seats in the closet. Yes, there's seals in Lake Baikal. I've seen the seals. So again, thank you so much for joining me, guys. I love you guys. You guys are great. Thank you for the support that you give. And yes, I will see you guys on probably Friday. Bye.